What's going on, y'all? And welcome to another episode of Resilient Kings Podcast.
Whoa. Now you about to start some controversy.
I am your host, Yaron Brown.
Hold on a minute. This is a Resilient King alert. Resilient King alert. You ain't gonna roll past that.
This is Resilient Kings Podcast coming to you.
Let's go. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Resilient Kings Podcast. This is your host, Yaron Brown. I am coming to you. We couldn't contain it. We had to have more than one episode. This is part 2 of the episode with Mr. Young and Debt Free, Mr. MJ Bridges. He is coming to you talking about being young and debt free. His story is just too dynamic to hold down in one episode. So this is the second half of that interview. Again, welcome, brother. I appreciate you for you hanging in there and willing to participate in this process and share your experiences with the audience. So I know we ended at you just really working at it and you getting your first paycheck, your very first paycheck from Clark Atlanta University. Shout out CAU Panthers here in Atlanta, Georgia. So you get this first paycheck and you own now? You speaking all over the place? What's going on? Like, when you get your first paycheck, like, oh, it's on. Like, you just, bam, I'm taking off and I'm running. What happened?
You know what? I did have that vibe. I was
Okay.
like, okay.
I told you that.
And you kind of like, oh, as long as I get XYZ, I could do this. I just need a few more. So I'm like, I'm on fire. I'm excited about it. This is 2018. Where am I at? I'm still on my debt-free journey.
Okay.
I'm working for a cab, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I really didn't have another gig, but I'm still trying to figure out what is young and debt free at the same time. Like,
okay.
what
So
kind
now
of
you're
services
still working
is-
and doing this, right? Because some people would
Yeah.
have got their first paycheck and quit whatever else they was doing and just did this,
No.
right? Because they got so hyped. So you didn't do that. You actually continued on your journey.
Yep, I'm on the journey, but now I'm not working all those jobs. I'm just working this one job. And I'm like, man, I need like another job to help get me over the hump. Now that year, that was my fourth, 2018. So I turned 30 years old. And I threw a big 30th birthday party. I threw a big 30, and I actually probably picked up some debt during that party. And then yeah, I was outside. Remember, I was outside that year. I remember I line trip went to Vegas. Yeah, I was outside. I was spending a lot of money again socially. So I did get a little weak during that time period. But I came back after that summer, and scooters were dropped off in Atlanta. So I don't know if you guys remember the craze in Southern California. So the scooters that you see in most American cities now, even nationally, the Lime, the Bird scooters, whatever, it's a lot of different new companies, the e-scooters, those were dropped off in Atlanta. And at that time, Atlanta, I believe, was the second metropolitan with like the most scooters in the nation outside of Southern California. And really, it was too because Atlanta didn't have any laws restricting them. Like, these companies just came in and dropped off like 5,000 scooters at a time. Like, boom, boom. So if you was in Atlanta, like summer 18, fall 18, going into 2019, it was scooter heaven. It was scooters everywhere. So I'm sitting there running one day. I seen this guy throwing scooters in his truck. I'm like, yo, what you doing? He's like, oh, I signed up to be a charger. You could just, back in the day, I don't know how it is now, but you could just go to the app. You would download the Bird app, the Lime app, and you're like, I want to be a charger, whatever it was called or something, but you could charge them. So I was like, I just moved into a new place, my boyfriend and I, right here in Midtown. And outside of my apartment complex was always scooters. So I'm like, So I then decided to do it. Now, mind you, I had a Chrysler Sebring. I had no truck. I had none of that. Like, but my car is whatever. I didn't think nothing of it. I ain't the one. I need to be better on my cars. But I wasn't. I was bad on this car. But man, y'all, I started charging scooters and I got addicted because I didn't get teacher loan forgiveness. So I still had those teacher loans, and I had like 1 or 2 credit cards that I wanted to pay off. So I ended up charging scooters. I started November. It was good. I remember these dates. November 18, 2018, because I went into 2019. Yep. And I ended around when the pandemic started, about January, right before the pandemic, February 20. And I made $33,000
On charging
gross
scooters.
on charging scooters.
Man, I
So,
tried to charge one of them damn scooters and I couldn't do it.
and-
I went there. So look, this what happened. Because I remember you telling me about this, and I was like, man, I'm about to charge some damn scooters on the side just to make a little money. So I go down to Atlanta with my truck. When I go down there, it say it's 7 scooters that I can pick up. So I was like, okay, that's gonna be all right. I get down there, it's 2. Now I didn't drove 30 minutes to get down there. And now we went from 7 to 2. 2 I ain't making no money on like that. So I'm pissed. So I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not charging damn scooters. And I just drove back home mad as hell, like, okay, man, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe this is MJ's thing. This ain't mine. So you made $30,000 in a year off of charging scooters.
yeah.
How
And
many scooters could you put in the Sebring at one time?
the max I got in was 21.
You
What I
got
did was
21 scooters in the Sebring.
I put I have all my seats down. So I remember I could fit like 3 in the front, like through the front, how I had them, and I had them like sticking out the window.
Yeah.
I could lay like 9 or 10, nah, man, more than that through the back, and I had another like 6 or 7 coming out the trunk. The trunk could be open, I had my hazards on. It was I just can't believe I did that. Like when I be looking back at it, like
Oh man.
yeah, but I was so I was
Laser
really what they
focused.
say locked in. Yeah,
Yes.
I'd be like, I really could look at them like I was locked in. Like nothing stopped me from doing it. Uh, all my social life went to heck Hades when it was out the door. It was just that. And that got me over my hump. So I was known kind of as a scooter person for a while because I was showcasing it all on IG, Facebook, like you saw. And I just had the right formula. Even the apartment that I just moved in was so new that there wasn't like a lot of residents. We were some of the first residents. So, and then by the grace of God, I just happened to be I'm on the 3rd floor, but it's the first level
Oh,
of
of
housing.
okay.
So when I came up, so that means when I got on the elevator, and then I happened to be on the secondary elevator that's on the other part where it wasn't the main that you go through the main elevator through the main
Yeah.
way. So when I was coming up with these scooters at 10 at night, there was literally sometimes no people even seeing me because one at the time the apartment still was trying to get residents. Two, um the elevator, my apartment was across from the elevator, so I literally would hold the elevator open in my door and just walk scooters in. It was just the formula and the system was wild, but that got me through that part. So now I'm young and debt free, but I'm still trying to figure out what this is. There's people I meet at the coffee shop, try to help them with their budgets and stuff. And I'm like, I'm discouraged. I'm trying to figure this out. You just doing all kinds of different stuff. Oh, maybe I start a YouTube channel. Maybe I do this. Maybe I do
Gotcha.
that. When the pandemic hit and everyone jumped to like talking about crypto. So again, because I didn't have an identity, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll look into that. Maybe I'll look into investments. Maybe, and then because I don't consider myself a financial guru, I consider myself a financial literacy educator. But now
Okay.
I do, but I have to figure that out. I have to figure that out. So I'll stop right there, and then I see where the
So
other question goes. So
so
now
now
we debt
so
free.
so I want to point out something to our guests that are listening. You said you were locked in, right? And so sometimes it's important for us to lock in, right? You said you had to give up some stuff to get some stuff, right? You had to give up the social life that you normally accustomed to. You had to give up some of the entertaining that you did. You had to give up some of the spending that you spent in order to obtain what you wanted to obtain. In order to move the way you wanted to move, you had to let go of some stuff, right? And so that's very important for people to understand. A lot of people don't. Sometimes either we not locked in or we locked into the wrong stuff, and where we trying to get to, we don't lock into that. We lock into the wrong stuff that we trying to get into, right? So it's important for us to. I want y'all to hear what MJ said. Mr. Young and Debt Free said. he said that he was doing stuff that he's looking back now and is like, I don't even know how I did that stuff because I was so locked in that nothing else mattered but what I was trying to get to or I'm trying to obtain. See, oftentimes we trying to get to too many different things. We not locked
Mm,
in on one thing we need to get to. We locked into 7 different things. Well, we already know that the mind don't work like that. The mind can't
mm,
separate itself out into 10 different areas and you do each one well. You got to be locked into something to get it done. So just want to give y'all, that's another resilient king skill right there. Being locked in, right? That's if you ain't locked in, you ain't a resilient king. I'm just telling you that right now. So let me tell you that. That's it. So you get this, you start like really honing in and like filtering through your information to find out what is this niche I'm really like going to. When did that epiphany happen to where you were like, you know what? I got something. Like I got something, got
okay.
something.
Okay, it's two big moments. So the pandemic is here. I'm lost. I remember doing like some, everybody's jumping on Zoom. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this Zoom. I'm gonna have this one bro come on. He gonna talk about how he started Airbnb. I'm gonna do this. It was. I went to. It's so funny. InvestFest. So if you ever heard of Earn Your Leisure, it's very popular financial and business platform on. They blew up during the pandemic. They do a big festival here in Atlanta called InvestFest every year. And of course, it did 2021. So February 2021. Let's go to February. February 2021 was my breakthrough. There was a program called the McNair Scholars Program out of University of Alabama. Shout out to Dr. Kadeem Russell. I need to call him. He saw me on Instagram. I know him. He used to be at Alabama State. Okay,
Okay.
so he asked me again. Been seeing me on social media. He's like, "Yo, I want could you do a presentation for my students?" And I'm like, okay, it was virtual. I'm like, I was nervous about it for some reason. I was like, I don't
Okay.
know, let me see. I did it. That he liked it so much that he forwarded my information to a lot of his colleagues who also have programs like that.
Oh
And
wow.
so from there, I started getting like ding, ding emails here and there and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I was starting to get asked to do workshops that was making sense, but I'm still not planted. It made sense because I'm a teacher, and it just made sense. So I then go to InvestFest in August. So between February and August, I did now probably like 3 workshops. Still working. I'm at Flex Academy as a math teacher. Um, but I did 3 workshops. Okay, making some money. I done picked up now colleges. In particular, these students were like first generation, low income college students. Working with this population, which that was me. So
Mm-hmm.
it makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but I went to InvestWest and I remember going and I said to myself, where do I belong in this space? Like I remember saying, I want to leave out of here um, with just something like knowing like where am I at, like
So
with
you
all this?
searching.
Because
When
again,
you go in there, you searching. You
yeah,
eyes open and
I
searching.
swear I was in the audience like, where am I in this big web? And I left that audience and I left that weekend. This is when it was small. I went 20,000 people like it's been the last few years. I left with my answer. You're a teacher. Keep doing what you're doing. Like basically, keep doing. Like you're a teacher. You're a financial literacy teacher, and you focus on the basic principles. You're not an investor or the crypto this or that. Leave all that to them. Leave all that to the other the experts. You are just sharing your story and you're teaching it. That's what Young and Debt Free is. That's who you are. That's where you fit in this. You're going to talk about budgeting. You're going to talk about managing monthly expenses. You're going to talk about how that correlates to building your credit. You're going to talk about debt management and debt freedom. And I've added now, the cost to attend college, but that's what you do. So that was like freedom, for me to know that in terms of becoming an entrepreneur, I now had a lot more direction. And so that helps me to, decide on things that I will and would not do and how to make business and stuff like that.
Fantastic. So I want y'all to hear this, right? This wasn't a linear process for MJ, Mr. Young and Debt Free. Like, do you hear all the ups and downs that it took for him to get to this place? Right? His purpose was always the same, though. And that's what I want y'all to understand. You can't avoid your purpose unless you are fighting. He started out being an educator. He ended up being an educator. That has not changed. How he does it has changed. Who he answers to has changed. But his purpose has not changed. Even though he went through all these ups and downs and all arounds, he continued to seek his purpose. And now he is thriving as Mr. Young and debt free. So he got some other stuff that he doing too. So I want to let y'all know that. I'm gonna let y'all know he got some other stuff he doing too, because he Mr. Young and debt free, not just in ending his debt and not just educating others on debt, but he is also he about to be Mr. Young and wealthy young and debt free.
Oh.
That's what the title. We're gonna add another word to that because he's now figured out how to also start building his wealth, which is different, right? Because he ain't stopped growing just because he's Mr. Young and debt free. He's still growing in his lane. So you figure it out. You getting traction, right?
Mm-hmm.
When do you feel confident in what you're doing?
After 2021, when like anything, when you do something over and over again, and you're like, okay, you're getting feedback and you seeing the responses and things like that, it's just kind of like, okay, like yeah, I got something going, like, and I see what's different. There's always this saying: you walk into a store, there's 20 different types of loaf of bread. Sometimes I used to get, am I worthy? Am I to be doing this? Am I qualified to do this? Am I
That
this?
self-doubt
And
creeping in.
when I look at it, I just be like, yeah, I am. Like,
Yeah.
like just I am. Like,
All right,
and
so hold on a
so
minute. Hold on, I ain't gonna let you get away. I ain't gonna let you get away with that. Again,
yeah.
resilient king skill, right? Everybody got the inner critic. Everybody questions
Mhm.
whether or not they're supposed to be doing something, right? And you didn't allow that to stop your movement. You noticed it, it existed for you, but you didn't allow that to stop your movement. You actually doubled down and said, "Yeah, I am." Right? I notice I got these thoughts. I don't know if I'm good enough to do this, but forget all that. I'm gonna rock it out and see where this gonna take me. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I want them to know that is resilient king skill. Pew, 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 pew. Like that's that kind of that's the resilient, yeah, that's that resilient king skill. So you didn't allow that inner critic to stop you from your mission.
Mm-mm. And then to getting, especially for those who's listening, and I don't know, want to start a service or whatever it may be. I know a lot of people have ambitions of that. Getting, like you said, getting critiqued, asking for advice, finding someone who's in the industry. I got to shout out one of our brothers. I know Greg Gray. I remember watching him do a presentation, and bruh, could you go to coffee with me? Like I immediately had to, like, and so he was instrumental in how I make my guided notes with my workshops. Like I loved his pamphlet that he had. So he showed me how to do that. He gave me great advice. So I also, during that process leading up to that 2021 and all that, I went to so many free entrepreneurship workshops, or whatever they call them, incubators, all across Atlanta. Like
So you
for
invested. So again, he invested in himself. He's investing in his craft. He's investing in himself in his craft. He's taking his time to find out. He ain't just going half cocked. He is finding experts in things that he's interested in growing, areas he's interested in growing in, and he's finding out how to craft them so he becomes an expert or master in those areas. Right. So it's important for y'all to hear that.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because those things help me with my mission, my goals, you have so many great things. But like any organization, or even when you work for a company, like there's like a order that, and that you have to go in, because you get overwhelmed. Like, and that's maybe another podcast, like talking about just being a beginning entrepreneur. So you have to learn how to contain it. If you look behind me, I don't know if you guys watching this, That's my organizational wall, that I got out of a book. It's funny you said the word traction is called traction. And when I did that, which was last year, and it has like my 3-year plan on there, um, I can relate all the stuff from that book. And so when I was going to all those like entrepreneurship camps and all across Atlanta, I was like, it's all right here. It's all the same. It's all relatable. But yeah. So I moved forward. It was it was 2022, summer 2022, where I left Flex Academy, and where I was like, yo, I got enough now skill. I got the word traction, enough traction, enough build
Mhm.
up,
Yep.
with clientele. I was like, I'm gonna do this full time now. Before I jumped out, because this will be the third time quitting my job. This time though, right? I'm debt free. I also made sure I got a mortgage. So I also made sure I purchased a home because I knew my salary is about to decrease. Yeah,
Okay.
this is still, yeah, there's still a working thing. So my salary with Flex Academy, I was making 72,000 when I left. I made sure I hurried up and got them a house. So I bought a house October 2021. So my plan was in
So
motion.
hold on a minute.
I
Hold
knew
on a
that.
minute. Hold on a minute, because some of these people don't know this. Some of these people don't know this.
Thank
And
you.
obviously, I'm gonna have to have you back on here because I'm gonna have to have you back on here. So at some time, don't not take my call, MJ. So I need you, for the people out there. Why did you need to purchase your home before you quit your job? Because you skipped
Well,
over that because you think the people know this. They don't know it.
you're right. You're right. Let's break it down. So, well, first, I don't have $300,000 sitting in the bank, and so to purchase the home, so of course we had to get a mortgage, and so I had to show some type of steady income. So I knew in my mind that when I started the 21-22 school year, I'm like, this is my last year. I was saying it to myself, like,
So you planned it.
I'm going. Yeah, I'm like, but before that, I'm like, let me get a house, and my partner and I, we had a conversation where if we get a house, we was just gonna Airbnb the house so that could pay for that, and then wherever we live at now is a condo. So I ended up getting a house in my name. He ended up getting a condo in his name. So, and the plan was to, of course, we could pay the condo mortgage with our salaries and work. And again, I knew I was going to be dropping salary. This is, I got to hunt for my food, right now as an entrepreneur. And so, but we were banking on Airbnb, which was a risk, but we were banking on Airbnb to take care of the house mortgage. And we've been fortunate because my Airbnb is on autopilot, basically. Like it's pretty much booked. We'll talk about that, but we started that. I bought the house October 2021.
So let me make sure I say this. So you had to have in order to qualify for a house, it's important to show your income and have a W-2 so that they know that how much you can qualify for.
Right. And since my debt was 0, I was fortunate. Like, my house, and then the rate was a little lower at the time, and so I bought the house for 346, and my process was a piece of cake. I hear sometimes horror stories or something. I was fortunate again because the finances were together. So it was just kind of like I remember walking in and I was like, yeah, that's it. But let's go look at a few more. And then when I saw a few more, I was like, no, let's hurry get the house. Because we wanted something in the city again where I'm processing the Airbnb and the type of crowd we want to get there and stuff. And so I was fortunate, got the house signed like late October. It's almost near the anniversary of me working at MLK. It was like late October, October 26th or something. And then we were on the Airbnb market New Year's Eve 21-22. I was nervous. My first rental on New Year's Eve, but it was just a few guys. They were really cool. And since then, it'll be 3 years, this New Year's Eve that we've been doing Airbnb in Atlanta with that property. And out of that, maybe had two hiccups, small hiccups, but other than that, every weekend is just pretty booked. Yeah.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm definitely going to get you back. I want to end with this question though. I think you've talked about it, but I want to make sure that I get the people to hear it from your lens directly. What did you learn growing up that you had to unlearn as an adult?
Oh, I'm very like a compassionate person, and I think that I learned like I grew up fast. So, I had 3 cars in high school between ninth and 12th grade. I was always like the hustler. And then with that, I also took up on kind of like looking out, whether it's for my younger brother, family, my mom, things like that. As an adult, even during my debt free journey, but even this year, I say this year, I finally learned how to pull back and say that it's not my responsibility to be a Superman, to always have to help. And so help yourself first. I grew up because maybe I had a certain ambition, because I worked hard, because when things weren't given to me. But I was fortunate to be in my aunt's house. My aunt did have the model I needed versus my brothers. Because I didn't tell you that I had 3 brothers. And my older brother went to a cousin. We all were split up since I was 10. So my older brother was more in the streets. Like when you see them, y'all, I'm the Carlton Banks of the film. It's my line ain't Carlton Banks, so funny. But they hood, my family hood, okay? Not like super hood, but hood enough, okay? We
Good
hood.
enough.
So like but because of all that, I've taken on sometimes this responsibility that no one gave to me, that I just put in my mind, that, oh, let me help this, or let me make sure this person cool, and let me make sure. But that drowns you eventually, and it also kind of creates resentment, because your expectation, even though it's like I have these expectations, but they my expectations, and that's not their life. And so, but I put a lot of time into a lot of different things. I always say family, but even my frat family, things like that, where I've learned now I need my time and my money and things like that, like, and to focus on me, and that's fine. So I hope that makes sense. But
You do.
like sometimes being a first generation college student, there's some called a first generation college graduate. And you have to, since you're the first in your family, everybody think you're rich and everybody think this. And sometimes you go with that narrative, or like, oh, I got it, I can help them, or I pay. And I've done that in my
Mhm.
20s. I built debt because of doing that. And I had to learn that, like, I don't have to do that. Like, like, especially you get to
Yeah.
spoiling people. And then their expectation is like, oh, MJ gonna take care of her. MJ, hell no. It's like, but that's what I had to unlearn, and that was
Okay.
more about me and not about them. And so, save yourself first, focus on yourself, and yeah, that's it.
All right. Outstanding. That's going to be the last word. Thank you again, brother, for coming here to support this process, to support these people that are listening and help them understand. We're going to definitely have you on again. Again, this is Resilient Kings Podcast. I'm your host, Yaron Brown, and we out.